The Millionaire Raffle is back and better than ever with 1 millionaire guaranteed and over 5,500 cash prizes. With our best win odds ever, you can win it.
Cool.
Your half-brother can win it.
Excellent.
Your karate instructor can win it. Your granny who's learning ukulele can win it.
Oh, dear.
Even your opera-singing neighbour can win it. Just get a Millionaire Raffle ticket before New Year's Day and you can win it. Play responsibly in-store or at lottery.ie.
Welcome into the Sportsmemo, sports betting podcast for Tuesday, December 18th, the NHL edition with our NHL betting expert, Andrew McGinnis. McGinnis, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Drew, we're doing pretty good. Kind of disappointed. I had some tech problems earlier on in the day. Supposed to do a video with the Prez and Carmine Bianco, but really excited to be here talking sports, talking hockey with you. And I got to say, would love to be there in Florida with you right now, Drew. We got absolutely snowed in last night in Halifax, and kind of just a great day to just talk some hockey, stay inside because it's a mess outside for me right now.
Yeah, man, I feel for you, bro. I'm not sure how that all goes down with all that snow. In my opinion, fun to visit, but not sure how you do it up there north of the border, bro. But anyway, let's get into it. Tonight's card, we got a big NHL card starting 61, game number 62, Anaheim, New York Rangers. Total of 6 or 5.5 here, depending where you're shopping. Chris and Heritage showing 6. Looks like most of the Vegas shops at 5.5. Got a pretty big favorite here. New York Rangers minus 140-ish at home. How would you look to bet this one?
Yeah, first of all, Drew, there's no way that the New York Rangers should even be that heavy of favorites, in my opinion. This Anaheim team has looked really, really good right now. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. And they've just been producing. They've really been, winning, whether it's lower scoring games, higher scoring games. This is a team that's covering a lot of plus prices. Their past 2 games, they beat Columbus when they're a plus 150, and they beat Pittsburgh when they're a plus 155. So this is a team that's looking good. They're scoring, and we're seeing another rare 5.5 total, as we've talked about lots of times. 6 is the new norm, 4 totals. And of course, this New York Rangers team is a team that I used to think was a huge under team. But as the season progressed, they've really turned into an over team. And we've got Georgiev in nets for the Rangers. He's kind of a vulnerable goalie in my eyes. He's someone that can't really control rebounds. I don't think he's that elite goaltender. Nowhere close to Henrik Lundqvist anyways. So for me, I expect lots of goals in this one. Anaheim is on a back-to-back situation. And for me, I like to bet overs on teams on a second half of their back-to-back because that means they're going to be playing a little bit sloppy maybe, a little bit lazy, a little bit tired. And to me, that creates goals. So we're going to go over the 5.5. Like you mentioned off the top, shop around. Certain spots there's 6, certain spots there's 5.5. Make sure you get that 5.5 and go over the total.
McGinnis, we got 63-64 up next. Toronto at New Jersey. Toronto's the big, heavy road favorite here. Minus 155-ish, depending where you're shopping. As high as minus 165 at the Greek. High total here of 6.5. How would you look to bet Toronto, New Jersey?
Toronto right now, Drew, going through a little bit of a slump, if that's what anybody really wants to call it. I'm looking right now. They've got 4 losses in their last 5 games. It's really unorthodox for them. And they're losing to teams that they really shouldn't be losing to, like the Carolina Hurricanes, like the Florida Panthers. But I got to say, that game last week against the Tampa Bay Lightning really proved to me that this Toronto Maple Leafs team has a lot of work to do before they're really elite and before they're really at that top spot in the Eastern Conference. They're laying some heavy price right now, headed up against New Jersey. And New Jersey, a team that I'm worried about. I'm worried about their depth of scoring. I'm worried about their defensive capabilities. And I'm really just worried about how they take care of the puck in their own end. So I think the obvious play would be to take the Leafs, but they're laying far, far too much juice. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to look at the under in this one, under 6.5, Drew. I just really think that this team has to buckle down defensively and has to realize that if they're going to play solid, they're going to play a good game.
You got your dog inside. That's awesome, McGinnis.
And there's my beagle. But as I continue, I'm going to say I really need to expect to see a more defensive game. We're going to go under the total of 6.5, Drew. Sorry about that.
Hey, no worries, man. It happens. So you're snowed in. He can't get out and go for a walk, huh?
That's probably what's going on.
Most dogs, I'm guessing, don't like the snow. Actually, I had a dog that did like the snow, McGinnis. Does your dog like the snow?
It's funny, Drew. He'll play in it sometimes, but I took him for a walk earlier, and the second the business was all taken care of, he turned around before I even did and wanted to go back to the house. So I love that because I don't want to be out there in the cold, and if he doesn't, that's fine with me.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, we got a couple left here. 65-66 Detroit at Philadelphia. 6.5 the total here. Another high total. And a big favorite with the Flyers laying as high as -180 at Chris.
Yeah, Drew, this is a game that I really wanted to talk about because it's very important to mention. Dave Haxtell finally fired for the Philadelphia Flyers. And I use the word finally because, it was bound to happen. It was a long time coming. The city of brotherly love is supposed to be a city that has an elite hockey team every single year and puts forward great offenses. And that's not what we've seen so far. And I think Dave Haxtell getting fired is a rude awakening for this team. And for me, whenever I look at a team right after their coach gets fired, it's almost like a brand new clean slate, almost like you kind of just have to impress the team, your coaches, general manager all over again as a clean slate. The head coach is gone. Everyone has to sharpen things up. And we're seeing Carter Hart, a goaltender that hasn't played a game in the NHL this season, but he's an extraordinary goalie. He's got called up from the AHL. And look, Detroit, they've been a team that really has to buckle down defensively as well. They've allowed at least 4 goals in their past 3 games. But I'm going to look towards the under in this one as well. I think that this Philadelphia team, a lot of public are hammering the over in this one, Drew, simply because Carter Hart's making his first NHL start of the year. They're wondering how he's going to perform. For me, I really think they're going to buckle down defensively, put a great performance forward in front of him. And Detroit as well, as the season progresses, they have to turn to be an under team as well. So Dave Haxtell finally canned. Huge news in Philadelphia. And of course, we're seeing a 6.5 number for this total. I've been loving taking unders on these 6.5s. I mean, we don't need to get too carried away. We started off with 5.5s, then 6s, 6.5s. We've seen 3 or 4 7s this season. To me, that total is far too high. We're going to go under the 6.5.
And McGinnis, the next game up, we have 79-80, Tampa Bay, Vancouver. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And I'm seeing, an 11-game card tonight for Tuesday and only a 2-game card tomorrow, Wednesday. Is that normal in the NHL kind of scheduling?
It is, Drew, and I'll be honest, it kind of bothers me. It's tough because, you have your days like Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays are usually the days where the cards are absolutely packed. And then you look at a day like tomorrow, like you said, where there's just, very, very small amount of games. It's kind of tough, especially when you're handicapping the sport. You kind of want to be able to look at it every single night and not have to worry about, hey, today it's 11, tomorrow it's 2. But I guess that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, do you know why the NHL does that? Is it because, teams wouldn't have to have shorter rests than the other? Or is it like Tuesday nights there's more people watching the NHL or any reason at all?
This is just a guess, but I would assume it's TV probably and sponsorships, that kind of stuff, and also travel spots. I do think it is important to have kind of the same amount of rest, but as we know, sometimes you see a team on a back-to-back, sometimes this team's well-rested, but yeah, like you mentioned, it's a weird thing, and I don't want to give you the wrong answer here, Drew, but for me, I think it's probably just a scheduling spot for media and for TV rights.
Makes sense. We got 79-80 here. McGinnis, Tampa Bay at Vancouver. This is a tough trip, a Florida team going all the way north of the border on the West Coast here, and they're having to lay, -185 on the road, 6.5. This travel spot, I don't know it nearly as good as you, but it doesn't look good for Tampa Bay. What are you thinking about laying a big number here with the Lightning?
Exactly. No, it's a great point you make, and I think, I've told you this a couple times this year when I've been on a podcast with you, where I think that teams are actually more successful at the tail end of their road trips than they are at the beginning of their road trips. And, Vancouver's a team that's been very, very, covering a lot of underdog spots, and they've been involved in a lot of games people might not think they will be involved in. But look, I just gave out an under on a 6.5, and I told you guys that I love looking at unders with those 6.5 numbers. But with this one, I got to look over. We're seeing a 6.5 between these two elite teams, lots of goal scorers on both teams. I'll tell you, I watched the Winnipeg-Tampa Bay game Sunday night. I've never seen a team move as fast and move the puck and get up the ice so fast like this Tampa Bay team does. Grab your future right now for them to win the Eastern Conference. I can't see anybody stopping them, Drew. This team is so fast. They work so well together. They have so much depth down the middle. It's unbelievable. Cirelli, Point, Stamkos, every single night they're getting involved. And, of course, you've got a lot of production as well over on Vancouver with Pettersson, Virtanen, Besser, all those guys as well. And, as good as Vasilevsky's playing right now for Tampa Bay, he gave up a couple goals that he probably shouldn't have against Winnipeg. So in summary here, as they head to Vancouver, I'm going to look over the total of 6.5, hope for a really high-scoring, action-packed game here in Vancouver.
So total over 6.5 in the Tampa Bay Vancouver game. That's game number 79. McGinnis, is that the best bet for the podcast?
That's going to be the best bet, Drew. And I want to make it clear. I was making sure I really wanted to say this because we had our NFL podcast together late last week, and I gave out an NHL pick late in the podcast, near the end, and we had Vegas on a great spot. I loved it. It was against the Devils. Drew, they were up 3-0 in the first period, and they blew that lead and lost 5-4 in overtime. You and I are going to be doing several of these NHL podcasts, so I want to be completely transparent with the record. We are now 4-5 with our, kind of best bets here, but I still love that spot. I like to recap losses, wins, just to make sure it's out there and let everybody know kind of what happened because, anybody that didn't watch the game just sees it as a loss. But for me, I see it as kind of just a broken opportunity. They were up 3-0, had an absolutely perfect start, and they go ahead and really collapse late in the game. So, we're going to keep treading along here, doing several more of these as the season progresses, but just kind of wanted to recap there. But Vancouver, Tampa Bay should go over the total tonight of 6.5.
All right, Tampa Bay, Vancouver, over 6.5. I got it locked in on my account right now. I'm riding with you, McGinnis. So best of luck, man. Let's get back to 500 on this.
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely. And before we head out, just wanted to make just a quick little promo here. Use the code PUCKTIME, promo code PUCKTIME, on my page here at Sportsmemo. You can get a week of my NHL plays for just $39.
There you go. He's Andrew McGinnis. I am Drew Martin. We'll be back very shortly, under an hour, with Rob Vino's college football. Next 6, 7, 8, 9 bowl games here for the rest of the week. We'll be right back with you. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Best of luck to you, McGinnis. Thanks for the time. Best of luck with your bets.
The Millionaire Raffle is back and better than ever with 1 millionaire guaranteed and over 5,500 cash prizes. With our best win odds ever, you can win it.
Cool.
Your half-brother can win it.
Excellent.
Your karate instructor can win it. Your granny who's learning ukulele can win it.
Oh, dear.
Even your opera-singing neighbour can win it. Just get a Millionaire Raffle ticket before New Year's Day and you can win it. Play responsibly in-store or at lottery.ie.
The outcome of Brexit may not be certain, but one thing is clear. Your business could face serious challenges. Enterprise Ireland's wide range of supports will help you plan, innovate, compete and diversify. Speak to your Enterprise Ireland Development Advisor or visit prepareforbrexit.ie, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.